everyone, this is Kathy from the Daily Marker. How are you today? I wanted to show you my process using this waffle flower stamp set called Little Bakers. It was so fun to use. I made some granola and it was perfect because I needed some tags and I used the stamp set. So I stamped these cute little girls with some Distress ink to do some no line coloring. This is the stamp set here, and I'm going to use some zigs and Distress ink to color my girls. So I'm gonna, like always, speed up a few portions. I'm not really using the right brush here, but it's what I picked up, so it's what I'm using. And I'm just putting down a base layer of that color onto her right now. And then I'll bring in a little bit of like diluted walnut Distress ink just for a little bit of shading. And then later in the video, towards the end, I'm going to use some colored pencils to bring in that shading. So, I mean, why even bother with your watercolors? It's so easy to do that with a colored pencil. But I'm going to do it anyway here now, and you can see the result of that and see if you think I even need to add anything. Of course, I like to, but you'll see. So it's very basic coloring, and these girls have like little round cheeks, and I decided in the end I added some colored pencils to the cheeks and just made it like one big rosy cheek versus cute little fun circle. So I'm just putting a base layer of watercolor on her hair. I didn't spend a lot of time on the hair. I've considered the trash factor. I'm not sure if the people that I'm giving these to are gonna, you know, it might just go straight in the trash. So I don't want to spend a ton of time on this. And I thought I was grabbing a brown, and as it turned out, I grabbed a gray Zig marker, so I'm going with that. So I'm going to bring in some red on her hair. I'm just going with all different kinds of stuff. Like, you know, you just can't worry about it, right? So right now I'm using some dark gray, and then I'll soften this with my brush in a little bit. And the most fun part is doing a pattern on the clothes. So the zigs have that really sharp brush, so I put a stripe of color with the zig, and then I soften that and brought some of that color down. And now I'm going to do the same thing with the green. I just want to soften it so it's gradient, so it just kind of fades out. And I'm going to do that on every stripe on her dress. It's super fun to do. And it's really easy, and the zigs are great because it's a really sharp tip. So I'm going to speed that up because I'm doing the same thing on every stripe, and then I'll move on. I'm also going to, if you'll notice, she just has cute little like flats, little slipper shoes, or I don't know what they're called, flats. But I decided to give her a little bit of a heel, and you'll watch me do that. If you're really watching, you might miss it, I don't know. But the shoe on the right, I'm going to just do a little heel on that in a little bit. And then the other girl, I'm going to end up giving her a strap around the ankle with a little bow. Now here comes the heel, just right there, tiny little heel, and then I brought that line down. So it became like a little wedge. And I'm just adding a wash of color on these cookies, and then I'll bring some darker color in later. So I'm really not spending a lot of time on this, again, because the trash factor is one of my top 10 coloring tips. And one of these days, for those of you who can't make one of my road trips, I will, when I get time, do a series of videos on those top 10 tips. That's in my to-do list, but I don't always get everything done on my to-do list. Now I'm just adding some zig, some of that gray in the corners. Just want to add a little darker area on this cookie sheet, and a line of color here. And then I'll just wash that out with my brush. Just pull that gray down into the brown background color, just so it looks kind of like an aluminum pan. She also could be serving on like a beautiful ceramic dish. So you could make these like sugar cookies with beautiful bright colors. I just kind of went for like a chocolate chip heart-shaped chocolate chip cookie. Now I'm adding some dark, drawing some eyebrows, eyelashes, and I darkened her eyes because they were stamped in that beige. And then just going over mouth. Now this is another 0.03, another brand. I picked this up in New York and then I couldn't find it. So I'm just going around different areas on her. And on the other one, I go over certain areas with the sepia marker, and you'll see that. So you can kind of pick which look you like better. And again, you know, I didn't spend a lot of time on her hair or anything. I always kind of like to draw a collar and just going over her feet. Now I'm going to draw that little strap and a tiny little bow on those little flats there, just for a little detail because it's fun. I debated on giving her like some mesh pantyhose, but I ended up not doing that. Now I stamped on Tim Holtz watercolor paper. It's pre-cut. I like using it because it's pre-cut. It's bright white. It saves me time. And I'm taking that 0.03 just to draw a pattern on her dress. But one thing, I feel like I love the nubby side of the paper, so I stamped on that. So you just have to be a little bit careful because every now and then the tip might run into a nub. So if you go slow, usually you don't run into that problem. Does that make sense? Now I have the sepia. This is a 0.03 sepia marker, and I'm just sharpening up some of those lines. It just gives it a little bit more of a finished look. Going down her legs, and then I'm going to take, this is a blue marker that I found, and it's a pretty fine tip, and I'm just kind of going over the blue areas and over that pattern that's drawn on the mitts that's on the stamp there, and just kind of sharpening up some of those things. And now I'm outlining the cookies just to crisp up those lines a little bit. And again, I don't know, you know, like sometimes it's like, should I be even doing this? Will the person even notice it? One of these goodies, I'm getting my hair cut today, and I'm taking one of these bags to her, and then I have one left. And if I don't have a major craving, I will save it for someone. God bless me if I do. I sure hope I do. Okay. Now I've picked up, you can see what I'm doing. So these are the Chameleon colored pencils. And I always tell people that sharp tip. So I've sharpened my tip, and I'm kind of hovering near the hairline, and then I slowly draw that line down. I just want to add a little bit of an accent, a little bit of a darker shadow. This is so easy to do on watercolor. It's just almost ridiculous. Like I tell people, it's just sick. It's so easy. So I hope you try this if you haven't already. Now I just wanted to kind of get away from the little circles on her cheek. So I'm just deepening the whole area on her cheek. And then I always darken the area by the part, you know, like where your darker area usually grows in. Now here, look how I have the edge of that plate. I wanted that one part at the top to not be cut so I can do this. So I'm laying it down where it's die cut, and I'm drawing, I punched a hole, and then I'm going to draw a loop around it. This way I can use it as a tag. So you can see where I didn't die cut, where the plate edge stopped, and now I'm going to cut out this part here. Am I explaining that well? Hopefully sometimes my explanations aren't good. So I didn't die cut that particular area, so then I could cut out a loop. So this could be used as an ornament or anything decorative. But I'm going to use it on the back of my tag. So I'm going to pop the colored part. So the colored part will be popped on top of this. And then I'm going to stamp the sentiment on some vellum. There's the vellum, and she'll go on top of that. Now here's my granola. It's so delicious. It's homemade granola. I'll link on my blog the recipe to this. It's supposed to be pumpkin granola, but I forgot to put the pumpkin in. How about that? And then there's my tags. I just tied them on with some twine. And when you slide the girl, you see the message underneath. And they're just kind of tied on top of the vellum, so it's loose and easy. So check out my blog for more details and have an awesome day. Thanks for watching.